Oh, hi. Okay, so let me see.
Hello, how are you,
Hi.
Marva?
Hi, I'm fine. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I'm looking forward to learning all about this voter registration stuff.
Great, 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 great. Howard is pretty good at it. Howard and Angela, they're usually pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, we gonna have to hunker down and do what we have to do. Yeah, we need as many people as we can get to on board to put that effort out there to
Yep,
get our voters out. Yeah. Mhm.
indeed, we do.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Let me admit two people
Okay.
if I can find out. Oh, there it is. There's Howard. He's coming in. He'll be in a minute.
Okay.
Oh, I was telling everybody I have Zoomitis. I have 2 and 3 of these meetings.
This is one of
sometimes.
the people.
Yeah.
Kit, hi. Good. Have you signed? I don't see you signed in yet. Uh, uh, oh, let me see if I can figure it out.
Mute your button.
So Marva,
Yes.
I'm talking to one of the people, Kit Broadhurst. She can't
Yes.
figure out how to get in. She can't find her link. Can you send her another one?
Let's see. See if I can find that name. Let me see. Howard, can you send? Do you know how to invite? Because the you sent the email out to her. Let's see. Unmute your button. Let me. He's got his button on. Let me see. Unmute. Okay. Howard, can you hear me? Okay. Unmute your button. You need to unmute on your side. There we go.
Good job.
Okay. So, Howard, can you send? What was the name?
Kit or Catherine Broadhurst?
Broadhurst. Can you send her a link again because I don't have that email. Yeah. Yeah, if you can. Let me see. What
They're
I'm
working on it.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is put it in.
You had to register when Marva sent you the.
Yeah, Howard sent that. Yeah. So, but it's okay. Let's see. We'll get through this. Now, I put the link on the chat. All you have to do is copy it for anybody that calls you
Okay.
something, because Howard sent out the invite. And so if you have the email is in the chat. Just send it to them and then they can link on. Okay, I got Steve Kelly coming in.
Six 6:21 p.m. I don't see a name. Sorry, kid. Click here to join, it says. Thank you for registering for Howard Pearre FCDP voter training. Please submit questions to, I'm going to forward this to you. And then it says click here to join and you'll find it. Okay, it's gone. Okay.
Unmute. Okay. Oh, no. Unmute. Unmute. Okay.
I'm not able to. Marva, I'm having trouble. I can't copy this and send it to Kit.
Oh, you can't. Okay.
And I tried sending it, sending her my link, and she can't open it with mine.
Okay, do me a favor. Can you put her email into my chat, into the chat, and then I'll send it.
Okay.
I have someone who can't. It's Michelle. I have someone who can't get in either.
Okay, is Sue? Is it Sue?
It's Rhonda who's trying to get in.
Okay, Brian Wiley. Okay, and there.
No, Rhonda.
Rhonda. Okay. Okay. Put the email into chat, and I will go in and get it and send an invite. Okay. Okay.
Hey, a couple people are having trouble getting in.
Yeah. So I sent you Catherine's.
Okay. All right, everybody.
Your email address in the chat, and she's
Yeah.
going to send you.
Okay, just a minute.
She's going to get you in.
Okay.
Kit can't get in either.
I'm trying. Yeah.
Tell me your
I'm on the
email.
phone with Kit.
rblack0108@gmail. I used the link that she sent in that confirmation email.
Yeah.
You're I have you on. You're on the speaker.
Okay.
gmail.com.
Yeah.
rblack0108@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think Kit did too.
Yeah, I've been working with Kit, but
I told you it's something on my computer.
Hold on for a second.
Cindy's
hold on. Cindy's saying something. Go ahead, Cindy.
I've been trying to help Kit, but she can't get in either.
Okay, just
So it's at Broadhurst Catherine. I think there should be an ad instead of I put .gmail.com. I think it should be broadhurst.catherine@gmail.com.
Okay, okay, all right, I see it. Let me see.
I just had Zoom sitting here on my screen.
Okay.
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 Marvin, did you get Rhonda's?
Yeah, I see that rblack0108. Okay.
Yes.
Just hold tight. I'll get it. And
For some reason, I'm not able to log on to my browser. Like it,
Okay,
that's the way I usually have to go in.
okay. And my computer is a little slow, I guess.
Trying again just to see what it says.
She says she's gonna email you a link.
Okay. Yeah, it won't let me
Are you
copy it.
in?
but,
Did you find an email like the one I had from Marva? And
Wait a minute. Okay, hold on, just a minute.
Thanking me for registering and that I would get an email soon. And then the one after that, wait a minute, let me find it. That one was
I'm
from
gonna try to send you the one that she sent me.
Okay.
I even tried logging in on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
on the Howard one, isn't there a thing
Yeah,
that says you
there,
need to
yeah,
register?
yeah, it says join Zoom meeting, and that's all you have to
Do
click
it
on.
again,
Yeah, to just click on where it
register
says,
again, and that Howard one, that's what I did.
yeah, that one will get you in.
Yep, register again.
Oh, no. Oh, well, yeah, okay, all right.
You say don't register again?
Yeah, it may kick you out. It may think you a hacker. So try to go to the original one. Zoom has been having a lot of problems with hackers, and if you try to go in a
Check your
second
email.
time,
I just emailed you the link that she emailed to me.
yeah, the one that Howard sent, the link that he sent, join Zoom meeting, that is the link that you want to send your friend, because I can't get it. I can't copy that email for some reason.
Go down where it says, mine says, hi, Michelle Cook. Thank you for registering.
Let me
Right.
see.
See where it says click here,
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I did.
and then it's telling you have to register again.
Right. Wait a minute, let me try yours.
Well, okay. Oh, let's see here. See what I can do. Okay. Oh, it's not letting me copy and paste it. Oh, wow. So Howard, can you resend the email to these two people? Is he there? Can you hear me? It won't let me copy and paste, so he's frozen, right? Oh, wow. All right. Okay, let's see here. Oh. Let's see. Participants. Let's see where we got. Okay, Howard, can you hear?
He's on mute.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can send him.
Something's happening.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Howard. Can't hear Mr. Howard. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Hi, Michelle.
I see Sue's out there too.
Yeah, and Kit can't get in. Kit, you know how she is with her confuser. She can't figure it out.
Hold on, what'd you say?
I said Kit can't figure out how to get in, and so I think we're gonna be without her.
Meeting, and then you have to enter meeting ID or personal link name.
Yeah,
No, I just clicked on
Well,
that thing and it said
yeah.
with the email address that
yeah, some people, you just click on that
Are you
link.
they will
That's
tell you.
it would
Let
not
me
let me
answer.
copy that email.
Privacy again.
Let me see.
Let's try it again. Open Zoom meeting. Okay, open.
Mine took a minute to open.
This meeting is for authorized attendees only.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Sign in to join. Okay. Okay, this is different.
Okay.
Enter password. That's Howard P, right?
Oh, I don't know. It didn't ask me for a password. It just asked me to.
Yeah, that's, oh yeah, I didn't know he had changed it. Okay, oh, okay, Howard P, yeah, that's it.
Howard P. She said yes. That's it.
Capital H and a capital P.
Capital H, capital P.
Well, it won't let me in. Capital H.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
all right, okay, so let me see. Let me see all the people he sent a
Nope,
registration.
it won't let me in. Correct email or password. Incorrect email or password.
It's saying incorrect email or password.
Okay, okay, let's see here. I tried to see, this is, okay. Wait a minute, somebody's trying to get in here. Okay. Catherine
Okay,
Broadhurst,
she said
she finally got here.
Yes,
Okay.
yay, did she get in?
Yay, there she is. Okay. Yeah, sometimes you have to go out and try to come back in and stuff. Where is Howard? Okay.
so tell Rhonda what?
Okay. So are you muted, Howard? Okay.
Kit finally got in.
Okay.
Yes, I don't see her, but I see her name.
Okay. Do you see, Howard, do you see your little microphone? You click on that. Okay. All right.
Okay,
Hi, Kit.
thanks.
Huh. You know, you talking and I can't hear you. Test your mic, Howard. Yeah, just take your time. Be patient. Take your time. It'll all come together.
So what did Kit do to get in? And Rhonda's still trying to get in.
See, she is.
Got a new
What does she
email from
do?
Howard.
I let her in. Oh, there we are. There she is. She's coming. Okay, so I don't. You're not muted on my end. So
Kit said she got a new
okay.
email.
Kit, was it the one I sent you?
No, it wasn't. It was a brand new one that he just sent tonight.
Okay.
Still not letting me in. It gets me to the screen where I can sign in, but it's saying that my password is not good. I mean, my email address is not good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Send me another. Let's see.
okay. Yeah, all you have to do is go into your email and and the link that says join Zoom meeting, send that to her.
Are you asking me to send it or?
Yeah, if
are
you
asking-
can, yeah, because Howard sent out this list. I don't have that list. It would not let me copy the emails.
Yes, I sent it to her.
Okay.
She said it's not letting her get in.
Okay, don't send her the registration. Send her the one that says join the meeting. Don't send her the registration link. Yeah. So if Howard can't talk, he's the convener. I forget. Sometimes you have to go back out, go all the way out and come back in. I've had to do it quite a bit.
Let me mute my microphone.
Is there?
Okay, so he's on it. Okay, on mute.
Still can't hear him.
Yeah, wait a minute, I'm trying to unmute him and this thing is not letting me unmute him. I don't know why. Ah. Oh, okay. Where's okay. He's unmuted. Okay. And Michelle Cook is muted. Okay. All right. Okay, can you say something? I don't hear him talking. Hmm.
Oh, she's muted.
Okay, Zoom, you're supposed to be the best one. Yeah, everybody say I like Zoom. So I like video conferencing sometimes. That's pretty good. Yeah. Even Google is pretty good. You know, you figure you pay your money for this, they shouldn't have any glitches all the time. Hmm.
Maybe his volume's not turned up.
Yeah, your volume is up and you did your test, your mic test. You know, we have mic buttons up at the top. Sometimes on your keypad, you know, sometimes we may have mistakenly pushed that.
Is that, can you get in there?
Oh,
Is anything happening when you do the Google?
Hmm.
Do you think his speaker, like his speaker is turned off?
It may be, huh? Was that him? No, yeah, I still can't hear. You know, yeah, it could be a host of things. I'm thinking about, I make this mistake all the time and push my little microphone button on my keypad, and then that turns things off. Oh, see chat. Okay, okay. Howard, I am not muted. So, Howard, is your speaker turned on? Yeah, right. Thanks for talking to him, you all, because it's something in his system. There's a reason for him not to be heard because he's not muted here.
Go to a different
I think
computer.
he's gonna throw his computer.
Okay, yeah, well, you know, you can always use your phone, Howard. Might want to try your phone. We've always got backup. What? You went to another system? Oh, well, you're the convener, so you're gonna have to figure out something, but use your phone. That's interesting. I don't know, no other thing, no other reason he sounded off. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. about the, oh. Thanks.
No problem.
And you got your tech partner there too. Y'all can't figure this out. Okay, somebody's trying to go. Oh, Rhonda Blackshear here, see? Try again.
Yay, we got Rhonda.
Hey!
Hey,
Yay,
Yep.
Rhonda.
Determination. That's
Right.
great.
Now if we can get Howard, we're all good.
I know, huh? Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, still he's using his phone. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
Finally.
Okay. All right. We hear you, Howard. Oh, wait a minute. I don't
No.
hear you.
No, we don't hear him.
Okay, so let me,
Out
okay,
there.
there
He's
you go.
unmuted.
Talk to me now, Howard.
Hello, Marva.
There you go. All right. Yay.
Okay. We'll.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, we hear you. You can lay your phone down and if you have to use your hands.
Okay.
You may get a squelch. When you use two devices, sometimes we may get a squelch in it, but don't, just be patient with it and try to repeat.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Well, thanks for everybody to show up, and thank you so much for your patience. This is. One of my opening remarks was that this was going to be my first time in doing a Zoom training of this nature, so I was going to ask everybody to be kind. I didn't have any idea I was going to have to ask for so much patience, but I appreciate it. One of the things that I'm going to say is please feel free to ask questions anytime, and we'll just proceed. Maybe we could go around and try to have some brief introductions. If you would just say who you are and if you are volunteering or interested in volunteering to do voter registration, or if you have a position in a precinct or in the party or something like that, so we can go through this very quickly so we can kind of catch up. So if you want to start, I can't see anything except the little thumbnails. Oh, I see. Ms. Scar, S-K-A-A-R, if you would like to start. Okay.
Sure. I'm Cindy Scar, and I am interested in being a volunteer to do voter registration.
Okay, great. And Ms. Cook, Michelle?
I am Michelle Cook, and I'm also interested in being a volunteer to help get people registered.
Great, okay. And Marva, I see you there next. You want to say something?
Oh, well, hi, I'm on the volunteering committee. I'm on the same committee as Howard, so we welcome you. And I'm volunteering since 2004. I've been volunteering.
I see. I guess Rhonda is next on my little thumbnail list here.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Blackshear, and I am interested in volunteering to train to get people.
Great.
Great.
Great. Let's see. I have a phone number next, and I guess no, that's my phone number. Okay. Be kind, please. Sue, your turn.
I'm sorry. Oh, me? Yeah, Sue Stevens, and I'm interested in learning about voter registration.
Great. Okay. And I see Bryant.
Yes, sir. Brian Wiley, and I'm also interested in learning about voter registration.
Okay. And Catherine?
I'm Kit Broadhurst. I go by Kit.
Okay.
And I'm interested in learning to get people registered to vote.
Excellent. Well, in my view, that is the key to success in November, is simply getting people registered. I have every bit of faith that folks will make the right decision, will have the opportunity to vote. So were you able to get some of the handouts that I sent out and the attachment and take a look at some of the links?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So the purpose of tonight, and I have done these in the at the party headquarters in person in the past, so I think we can put this together online now that we've got some audio and the video. But the purpose is to try to help you to become comfortable in doing voter registration. I don't have all the answers at all. I do try to send out enough information so that you can have not only be comfortable in what you're doing, but have the basics so that you feel comfortable going out and doing voter registration, but also provide resources so that if you need to look for further information, so that you'll be equipped to do that further research. So voter registration is pretty simple. Did everybody get the form, the voter registration form?
Yes.
Okay, so you do have that. That's good. So it is not a complicated thing to do, but there can be some curveballs that if you're not familiar with a few things, that you might have a stumble. I certainly did when I started doing voter registration. One of those possible curveballs is if a person tells you that they have had a felony conviction, and a lot of the misconception is if you have had a felony conviction, then you can no longer have your citizenship, and so you can't vote. But in North Carolina, if you have had a felony conviction and if you have done all the obligations of the court, that is any active time that's involved, any probation or parole, then automatically your citizenship rights are restored so that you can vote. So another curveball that might happen is what happens with college students. If they can register and vote at home, or do they have to, are they at college? And the answer is that they can actually make a choice of one of those. And we'll cover that a little more in depth in a second. So,
Howard, I have a question about the felons.
Yes, sure.
If they still owe fees for whatever, they're not eligible to vote, is that correct?
Well, what the law says is that you have to have completed all of your obligations that were related to that sentence.
So the fee might be an obligation.
That's my judgment. I would say that.
Are we allowed to ask how much they owe?
Well, you can, yeah, sure. Okay. I mean, your role is simply helping facilitate what they're going to do.
Right.
I also have a question.
Sure.
How, it says here that no additional documentation is required once a felony sentence is taken care of and so on and so forth. How will we know?
Yeah. You don't have to know. You simply have to respond to what they are telling you. They are the ones, the person is the one that is actually filling out the form and is signing that statement at the bottom that says everything that they have said is true. Your job is not checking. Your job is simply informing them about what the form says and what their obligations are.
Okay.
And then it's up to them to tell the truth.
And
So-
can we actually write it for them? As
You
long
could,
as they sign it?
if they asked you to, in their presence, you could fill out the form, yes.
Okay.
Now, the person will have to sign the form themselves.
Right.
But yes, you can do that if they ask you to. Now, that's another little point that I'll get to in a little while, but if they fill out the form and they leave out something like, say, a zip code, and guess what? You know exactly what that zip code should be. You cannot write that in after they leave. You have to turn in the form just as it is to the Board of Elections. So, and it'll be up to the Board of Elections to correct any problems with the form, but you're not allowed to alter it in any way once the person leaves.
As long as they are there, you can point out that they forgot to put in the zip code.
Oh yeah, yes, that's certainly.
Okay.
So your job is kind of like a coach to help them fill out the form. And the one thing that you'll encounter is that folks will be in a hurry. So they'll just want to go real fast and fill in and sometimes they will just want to scribble. And you can't let that happen because the Board of Elections folks are going to need printed documents so they can read it and so they can enter the correct information. So that'll be a little bit of a challenge from time to time because people will want to go so fast and they'll want to skip over things. And it's always a very good idea for you to, after they finish it, to try to make sure they don't go anywhere while you look it over and make sure that all the blanks are filled in so they're legible and so that they are correct. Now, it's not your job to check up on anything, but just to make sure that the information is there. So another point that I wanted to make, and I'll make it again, is, sure, go ahead.
If you do have a ex-felon that, in his mind, he thinks that he has completed all of his restitution and requirements by the court and probation, and they complete the form, does the computer system, can it flag, will it flag his document or paperwork down the road, or will the process flag it?
I had a little difficulty hearing exactly what the question was, but I think you were asking if they filled out, if they sign it, but they still owe some money or they still have probation time, will they be flagged?
Yeah, will they be flagged down the road in the process?
I expect so. Again, your job is not checking up. Your job is not attesting to that everything on the form is gospel or correct. Your job is to advise the person of what their obligation is. One point that I try to make is, and I would urge you to do this, that little section at the bottom of the form, that is block number 10 on the form, at the very bottom where the person signs, the person is signing a statement that says that they asked under penalty of perjury that all the information is correct. And it also asks the questions about any kind of a felony conviction. So it's up to the person to tell the truth there. It is up to you to try to advise the person of actually the seriousness of this. I mean, it's a serious legal document, so the person needs to know that what they're signing could have some repercussions if they're not telling the truth. So this rarely happens, but it's important to know what's on that bottom section there. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So one point that I try to make is after, I would urge you to urge that you register a week or so after they've done that, after they've registered with you, for them to check online to make sure that their information is
So loud, I can't hear the computer.
active.
All right.
So that's about 2 weeks, did you say?
Well, at the maximum of 2 weeks. When I went on, I did a test of the online registration on myself, and what I did actually was I changed my voter my party affiliation. I changed it from not Republican, from Democrat to unaffiliated, and just to see what would happen. And it took about 2 days actually for that to show up on the voter lookup system with the Board of Elections, with the North Carolina Board of Elections. So
So they'd go to the North Carolina Board of Elections website?
well, what do? You did you print out that voter registration guide that I sent out, the attachment to? Okay. On the back page, on the last page, I think it's page 7 of that, there's a place that says voter lookup website.
Ah, got it.
So that's kind of the little instructions about how to look yourself up, and also how you should urge people that you register how they should look themselves up after they could look themselves up several days later, but it may take as much as a week or 2 to actually hit. But certainly after 2 weeks, if it's still not showing up on the voter lookup website, that's when they should certainly contact the county board of elections, wherever it would be, the Forsyth Board of Elections, or if it's in Davidson County, that Board of Elections, and tell them what they've done. Tell them that they registered with a volunteer, and that the volunteer said that they would be turning that registration in right away, which is what you need to do, of course. But it's not showing up. So what's going on? Worst case is that they may simply have to figure out how to register again. But that's very important for a voter or person to take charge of that process, so that make sure that they are in the system. So if you have never done that, I would urge you to do a test run on yourself, simply to look yourself up, and you can tell if you're active. That's the key right there. It'll say if you're active or if you're inactive, or if you're not in the system at all. And then in addition to that, it'll give a lot of other information, just like what is on your voter registration card. That's public knowledge or public information. So it's you can look up yourself, or you can look up other people. When you are working with folks to, for example, if you were at the fair, working at the Democrat booth at the fair registering folks, one service that you wind up doing as much as anything else, folks will come by and say, well, I'm not sure if I'm registered. I haven't voted in several times, or I've moved and I'm just not sure. So right on the spot, you can look them up, and you could certainly look them up on your smartphone. But what's a better idea probably is to get them to look themselves up, so that they'll know how to do that in the future. And also, if there's any changes, or if they're going to have to make a change in their registration, then they can look themselves up later on and make sure it took. So that's something that I would urge you to do. So a couple of quick points. one thing that's important is that any voter registration that you do, even though that you are participating in this particular training through the Democrat Party, all voter registration is nonpartisan. You are required, if you're doing a voter registration drive, and you can do a voter registration drive just as a single person or with a group of other people or as a part of the at a booth that's sponsored by the Democrats. Even so, voter registration is nonpartisan. So if anybody who walks up to your booth wants to register and they want to register as somebody in another party, then you are obligated to take that registration and obviously to turn it in. And you can't alter it or persuade them to vote a certain way or to register a certain way or anything like that if you're doing this sort of a service. So that's an important point. Another thing I wanted to say is there's lots of opportunities to do voter registration. Of course, there's the event booths that sometimes the party has. Of course, we haven't had any, and I don't know when we will be having event booths in the near future. In the past, we've had them at the Hispanic Fiesta. We've had them, of course, at the what used to be called the Dixie Classic Fair is now I think it's called the Classic Fair. But I don't know. Nobody knows if that's going to actually happen this year or how that's going to play out. But those are opportunities to participate in doing voter registration.
Howard, I have another question.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
At the same time we're doing voter registration, may we also have the mail-in ballot request, the absentee ballot request?
I don't know any problem with that. I don't know about that as a technical law, but I don't know of a problem. I would proceed to do that if I was inclined to.
Okay.
What you can't do, however, is to fill one out ahead of time. The only thing you can do is provide a blank. There have been people that have got into significant trouble for filling those forms out in advance and giving them out.
But we could give them the how to vote absentee by mail, what you've sent up.
Certainly, that's a public document that's put out by the Board of Elections. So absolutely.
Yeah, to say if you want to vote absentee, here's how you do it.
Right, as well as the ballot request for the blank form.
Oh, you can give them the blank form. Oh, okay. Oh, plus, okay.
Just make sure you haven't filled it out already.
Right. Right.
If you do precinct canvas drives, certainly that's an opportunity to have voter registration forms in your with you. Certainly, if you are going out on canvassing for the party or for a candidate, the people you will be going to see are registered Democrats. But there may be frequently people in the household that either are not registered, say a child who has just turned 18, or a person who has moved there, or sometimes just different things happen that the name change or other things that is handy to have a voter registration form to be able to assist people with. What I have found is as much as doing new registrations, I wind up doing changes to voters' registrations, name changes or addresses or that sort of thing, as much as anything.
Howard, it's Michelle. I put my question in the chat. I realize you're on your phone though. So you said we could do it as an individual or as a group. So my question is, if I'm with a group of friends and we want to do voter registration, for example, in front of a grocery store. Yep. Can you talk about what the process is? What kind of permissions are required?
Glad you asked that. That was actually next on my little list to say.
I was reading your mind.
you can certainly do that. I have done that, and sometimes you should check with the manager to make sure it's okay for you to do that, to set up a table. There's a Hispanic grocery over on Parkway Plaza, I think, Pearre. And in the past, I have gone over there and with my card table and little signs, both in English and Spanish, such as to vote or register, that sort of thing, and would ask people if they're interested in voting. And sometimes I get customers to want to do that. But it's important to ask the manager, make sure it's okay with them to do that. On occasion, the manager said, no, we can't allow that. And I have actually gone out into the parking lot then and just spoken to people that I happened to see and asked them if they were registered or if their registration was up to date, and if not, then I could help them to get it up to date. So you can absolutely do that by yourself or with a group. If the little guide that I provided indicates the requirements if you're going to do a voter registration drive, what you need to adhere to. But other than that, you're certainly legal to do that. And there's no certificate, there's no license or training that's required. You didn't need to take this in order to do this, but maybe you'll pick up some tips about it from here. Does that answer your question?
It did. Thank you very much. Is this the time to ask other questions about the guide, or are you going to take us through some things and we'll get that?
I'm going to get to that in just a second, if that's okay.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. Another last point here on this opening session was some opening lines. Good opening lines are things like, is your voter registration up to date? Because if you simply say, are you registered to vote, they're going to either say yes or no or go jump in a lake. But if a lot of times an easier approach, a more effective approach is your voter registration up to date, or have you moved since you last voted? So somehow those seem to be more effective ways to open. And in a few minutes, I'm going to be able to give you some links. In fact, I might email the links out to you to You Can Vote, that has some links to YouTube exercises or YouTube demonstrations of how to approach people. The You Can Vote folks are great at their training, and as other organization elements. I was going to talk a little bit about the actual form. If you have that, it'd be a good time to maybe pull that out. What this says and what you're obligated to do is to fill out at least all of the sections that are in red. Now, if you printed this off, with my printer, it did not print in red, so I actually went back and looked at it and drew around where the red things are so I could know what I was talking about here. But in the first block, that is block number 1, there's the 3 questions. Are you a citizen? Or will you be 18 by the time for the next election? Are you at least 16? So the person needs to check all of those 3 blocks. That's very important, obviously. And of course, if the person is not a citizen, you do not need to go further, because that's just a dead end right there.
So define citizen. Is that green card? Is that?
No, it's not a green card.
All right. So citizen. You
it's
have
all right.
Full citizenship.
Full citizenship. That is correct.
Okay.
Block number 2 is the person's last name, first name, and middle name. And again, please print in black or blue ink so the Board of Collection or Board of Elections can read the things. Block number 3 is date of birth is required. The state or county of birth is not required. The driver's license or the last 4 digits of the Social Security number, which is also in block 3, even though they are not in red, please, please, please always get one of those, or try to urge the person to put that in. I've done some voter registration drives at the high schools, and sometimes the students don't have their license, or they don't have their with them, or they don't have their Social Security number with them, so that's sometimes is a problem. The reason to have that, make sure you have that, is because if you don't, then the Board of Elections has to jump through some extra hoops to verify the person. So if you can get that, that is a big help to the Board of Elections, which has plenty to do without extra aggravation. Block number 4 is where the person lives. That's the address. And if they receive their mail where they live, then they do not have to fill out block number 5. However, if they receive their mail, let's say at a post office box, that's when you have to fill out the block number 5 also, or the person has to fill that out. Sometimes a question comes up if a person lives at say Wake Forest or Winston Salem State. So the person's residence where they live would be Wake Forest University, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, whatever the zip code is there. But their mailing address might be something like Wake Forest University P.O. Box 1234, or it might be kitchen dorm room 3A or something like that. So do the best you can with where they live and then where they receive their mail. Any questions about that? If a person is homeless, there's a place that's there it says no physical address, and the person can kind of draw a location of where they usually sleep, and that's where they usually reside. So they can just do the best they can there. The Board of Elections is interested in trying to get people registered. They're not trying to screen people out. So a person could do that. Of course, if a person is homeless and is registering as such, it's important for them to put the mailing address in. And that's where they could receive their mail, because they do have to receive the voter registration card. They don't need the voter registration card to present in order to vote, but they do have to be able to have that mailing contact with the Board of Elections. So that might be a homeless shelter, or that might be a church, that might be a relative that they know where they get their mail. So block number 6 is optional. Block number 7 actually is optional also. If they don't fill in anything on block number 7, they will be considered unaffiliated. That means when it comes to be primary time, they will need to choose if they're going to vote in the Republican or the Democrat primary. I think they can also maybe the Constitution Party, but the other 2 parties don't have open primaries. You don't have to remember all that stuff, just that if they don't put anything in block number 7, they'll be considered as unaffiliated. And of course, they can change that anytime they want to. Number 8, again, is not normally required, but it is required if they, say, have moved here from another county in the state or another state, and they were registered, say, in Tennessee. They would need to fill out block number 8 by the name that they used when they were voting there and registered in that other location, and also the address, of course. By providing that information, the Forsyth Board of Elections will contact that other location, and their registration there will be canceled, and then they will be registered here. Finally is block number 10, and that's where I would urge you, if you can, to make sure that the individual reads that section, or you might wind up reading it to them, but it's important for them to know the importance of the registration process and what they're signing there, because that is a legal document that they're signing that attests to all those, that all the information that they are providing is true. It's not up to you again to verify it. You don't sign it. It's they, that the person that is signing it, that it's important for them to know that what's going on. Finally, on the back or on the second page of that form, if you printed it out, there's a good bit of instructions about that you can look over. One point that I would make is in item number 4. Okay, it says there, if you do not have a traditional address, draw a picture of the space provided as to your usual sleeping location. Number 7, it says, if you leave the party affiliation blank, you will be registered as unaffiliated. What you will need to use are the actual cards. It's printed on cardstock. I've got a lot from the past that they've changed a little bit. The Board of Elections will accept the old versions because they're very, very close to what the new versions are. But maybe you have seen some of these around that are printed. So on the back side are all of these instructions that if you want to show the person specifically where it says what, then that can be a handy thing to do also. Any other thoughts or questions about the form itself?
I have one.
We'll go on. Go ahead.
Where do we get the printed one on? Yes.
Okay, that's a good point. Number one, you do have to use this printed one. The one that you may have printed out online that I've just printed out myself so that I'll have it, the latest one, is not valid for use. You have to use the ones that the Board of Elections provides. You can get those at the Democrat headquarters on Burke Street, or you can get a supply. If you want a lot of them, you can get them, as many as 100 at a time, downtown at the Board of Elections. They are no cost. You just have to sign for them, but you can get them there. There may be some other resources for those also.
And how about the requests for absentee ballot? Are those, can we use the printed ones that we printed from home?
Yes, that one, yes, yes, you can just use what you print out from a computer printout for that.
Okay.
And you can make copies of that if you can do that or if you want to, for the absentee ballot request forms.
Right.
And you understand, of course, that once you send in the absentee ballot request, the Board of Elections will hold it until about 60 days before the election, and that's when they will send out the actual absentee ballots. So we can go ahead to the guide. I'm certainly not going to read all of that, but there are a few kind of highlight points that I would like to hit. On page 1, of course, is the first block is the qualifications to vote. You have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to have resided in the location where you're registering for at least 30 days before the date of the election. You have to be 18. If you're 16 or 17, you can pre-register. And finally, as we've discussed, you cannot be serving a sentence for a felony conviction, including probation, parole, or post-release supervision. Excuse me. I don't see anything, I didn't see anything about this point about any fees that you have to pay, so I'm not absolutely certain about that point, but I suspect that might be a Google question or a question for the Board of Elections itself. The second section is the voter registration drives, which is what you would be participating in one way or the other, either individually or with some other group. There is a list of do's and don'ts, and that is accessible through that link. That's mostly a repeat of the material that's immediately below that. The following items on the form are required, and we've gone over those. And then I've also asked you to make sure that you always try to get the driver's license or the first four digits of the last four digits of the Social Security number, as well as the phone number and the email. You know, on the form, well, I think I skipped right over that point. It was item number 9 on the voter registration form, and it is the phone number. It is not in red, and I don't know why, because that's so important, because that was what allows the Board of Elections to contact a person if there's any question that they have to resolve to get the voter registered. So always, please, 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 always try to get that phone number. On page 2 of the guide are the items that the following items must be adhered to. And just going over some of the points kind of quickly. Now this again regards the voter registration form itself. The voter may receive assistance upon request, but the voter has to sign or make their mark on the form. Secondly, you cannot coerce a person into marking a particular party affiliation other than what the voter has requested or wants to do. Obviously, if the voter's filling it out, then it's up to him or her. And if they've requested you to fill it out, then of course you have to fill out what they have asked you to fill out. Do not offer a person a voter registration form that has been pre-marked. Do not compensate or be compensated for the number of registration forms you do. This is a completely non-paid arrangement. Let's see. Do not tell voters they must register to vote, must re-register to vote. However, excuse me one second. My wife has another Zoom session going on in another room.
Oh.
So, find out. Okay, it says, do not tell voters they must re-register to vote. However, they can certainly use, and you might be using this, the voter registration form, to do something like change an address or change a name or change their party affiliation. So those are certainly reasons to use that same form. Do not alter add notes or complete any section of the form for the voter. That is after the voter leaves. Incomplete forms should be given to the County Board of Elections as is, which we've covered that a little bit. So even if something as simple as a zip code or something they just happen to neglect to fill in and you see it and spot it after they've left, you're prohibited from making any marks on the form. You have to just turn it in as it is. Let the Board of Elections handle it. It says you have to send them to the County Board of Elections where the person lives, and if you don't, you can turn it in to the North Carolina State Board of Elections. That's certainly an option. I talked with the Forsyth Board of Elections folks, and they certainly prefer if, say, you are at the fair and take a voter registration from somebody who is from Davidson County, which sometimes happens. Of course, we get a lot of folks from other counties that attend the fair. But they'd prefer that we turn it in to the Davidson Board of Elections. But they said that they would certainly forward that to the proper Board of Elections. So I would feel comfortable if I had somebody, say, from Guilford County or from Davie or something like that, to go ahead and just simply turn it into the Forsyth Board of Elections and take them up on their offer to forward it over to the correct people. Returning voter registration forms, again, all the registration forms, complete or partially complete, must be sent to the County Board of Elections where the voter resides. And submit completed voter registration forms within 5 business days, but no later than 25 days before an election. Of course, that has to be in so they'll be able to vote. So don't delay in getting those turned in. You can turn them in to the Democrat headquarters, and they have regular folks that go down to the Board of Elections. Or you can turn them in yourself to the Board of Elections, which is on Chestnut Street. And the address, the specific address, it's in the county office building on Chestnut Street. Their address is listed on page 7, contact information there. Next page, page 3, voter registration deadlines. The deadline to register a voter to vote in North Carolina is 25 days before the election. So they're speaking of the traditional paper voter registration that we've been talking about up to this point. However, if a person misses that deadline, they can still register to vote during same-day registration at an early voting site. And those take place all the way up until, say, I guess it's 3 or 4 days before the actual election. In this year, the early voting will take place until the last day, I think, is on Halloween, which is October the 31st, which is about 3 days before the actual election day. So if they miss that 25-day deadline, certainly they can register at an early voting site. They'll have to show some other credentials to affirm their where they live, their residence, and those sorts of things. Updating party address, name, and party affiliation. The voter registration form may be used to change any voting information, name, address, party affiliation. For changes other than party affiliation, you can use the same day registration at a one-stop early voting site to provide an update. Also, and we'll get a little bit more into this in a minute, but voters who have valid driver's licenses may update their residential or mailing address and party affiliation through the Department of Motor Vehicles website, but not their name. They can't do that system with their name. Hi. Okay. Next page, page 4, residency. The legal voting residence is where the person has a permanent domicile. Citizens who are homeless may register and vote. The location is the usual sleeping area for the homeless person is the residence of that person. Citizens who are homeless must provide an address, such as a shelter or other facility, where they can receive mail. And also, college students may register either in the county where they are attending college or at the address where they lived before they moved away from college. Of course, they can only register at one place. The student does not have to intend to stay in the college community beyond graduation in order to register to vote there. So when they use the phrase permanent residence, that throws some folks sometimes, because you think, well, that's a permanent resident. They're always going to live there at East Carolina in Greenville, and they can't do it otherwise. But that's not true. They don't have to plan to live in Greenville forever and ever in order to simply register while they're a student at East Carolina, say. One little glitch that could happen this year, of course, is depending on where the person, let's say if they were a student at East Carolina, and they had made their registration there in Greenville, North Carolina, if they happen to be home with their parents in Winston-Salem on November the 3rd, they are going to have to either get themselves back down to Greenville to vote on November 3rd, or they're going to have to vote absentee as they are registered in Greenville. They're not registered in Winston-Salem, or they're going to have to change their registration to Winston-Salem. So that can be a little something that folks might catch people without their knowledge. This little section, same-day registration. The person must attest to their eligibility to vote and must provide proof of residence. That's where we were discussing the early voting same-day registration process. And listed are some of the documents that a person can use to demonstrate or to attest to their residence. Driver's license, of course, other photo identification by a government agency. Next page, a copy of current utility bill, bank statement, or government check or paycheck. Those sorts of things have to be, there needs to be some sort of evidence that where the person lives for them to register to vote at an early voting site. Any questions or thoughts about that? The next section is the online voter registration, which is, of course, is brand new, and this is wonderful. Anyone who has a driver's license can register to vote or make changes to their listed address or party affiliation online through the Department of Motor Vehicles website. Did anybody try that system? I tried it. I ran through it actually a couple of times. I've changed my party affiliation back and forth just to see how that would all work, and it does work. It's a little complicated, and so what I tried to do is list the steps of how to do that specifically, so that a person would be able to. And if you're going to be participating with some folks and doing any training, these are the steps that you'll need to convey to folks. I would urge you, if you are going to try to train some folks, that you do run through it by yourself. You don't have to take it all the way that I took it, that is to actually make a change in your your registration process if you don't want to. But in other words, you don't have to go all the way to the submit point. But if you're thinking about trying to train some folks or advise folks how to do the voter registration online, it probably is a good idea that you become pretty familiar with the actual process yourself. Of course, as always, several days after the registration change, you should go to do that voter lookup site and make sure it took. When I did this and went through those steps and changed my voter registration, my party affiliation, just to test the system, it was actually about 2 days later that it showed up as a take on the Board of Elections website. And what I did, I wound up getting, because I took it all the way and actually made a change in my party affiliation, I got a new voter registration card several days later too. So then I changed it back.
Is there a YouTube video that gives an example on how to register online?
I couldn't find one. What I wrote out in those 8 steps is the best I could come up with.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to say a lot of people, some people are like me. My mind may veer off during the training and stuff. What I do as far as my backup is always, I'm a YouTuber, and I go to YouTube to try to find out so that I can watch something over and over so that I really get it. So you can go to YouTube, but please go to How to Vote in North Carolina. And so when you look at that link, make sure that it is within the 6-month frame, because you want to be up to date on your information. And I just looked up while we were going through this. There's several YouTubes that you can look at and sort of refresh, but guess they repeat pretty much everything that Howard has said. It's just that it's something for you to go and be and refer back to, how to do the census, how to vote online. So that's just a little tip for you, okay? I always refer to YouTube. My little gift to people.
I agree with the YouTube idea. This change with the online voter registration it just took place in March of this year. So I couldn't find anything else. If you can find something else somewhere, I'd be happy to know about it and like to share it. Last are the voter registration FAQs, just a few other odds and ends on page 6. This year, no photo ID is currently required for the 2020 elections. So there you go. May I fax or email a voter registration form? You have to, for an original form, for somebody brand new registering, they have to have one of those actual documents, the cards that are printed and available through the Board of Elections, and it has to have a live, what the Board of Elections calls a wet signature. So you got, but for anything else, for changing your name or address or party affiliation, you can actually fax or email a scanned image to the of the application. Now, my understanding is the fax and email option may be only available this year with the coronavirus issues going around. So I don't know if that will be continued or not. Bottom of the page, who can vote absentee? Any registered voter can vote absentee by mail for any reason. And so there's and I think I sent out a link about absentee voting also on that email that I sent everybody. On the last page, page 7, the voter lookup website. As I said, I'd urge you to give this a try on yourself. When you do that, you don't change anything. There's no options to change anything. You're just looking up information. And the key is make sure that you're considered active. You may also want to take a look at your address and some of the other information. Make sure all of that information is correct, of course. And then at the bottom there's the contact information, how you can get some other information, or if you have questions for the Board of Elections. One nice thing about the Forsyth Board of Elections, I've called them many, many times for questions, and I always get a person. I never get a recording or a call back or anything like that. Just somebody answers and tries to help me right there on the spot. So my hat's off to the Board of Elections here. I probably have 5 or 10 minutes more to go. Does anybody have any questions at this point? Okay, I'll charge on. Got something the other day from the Democracy NC people, and one of the questions they posed, can someone in jail request an absentee ballot? And the answer is anybody can request an absentee ballot. That includes eligible voters who are incarcerated, those convicted of a misdemeanor or accused of a felony but not yet convicted. As it stands, the best way for that person who is incarcerated to do that is to have a near relative or legal guardian complete and sign the absentee ballot request form. Early voting this year is from Thursday, October the 15th through Saturday, October the 31st.
What was those dates again?
October 15, Thursday, October 15 through Saturday, October 10. And the Board of Elections has not determined exactly where those sites will be. That's always a tussle down at the Board of Elections, but so that if you can get over there, they may have those meetings by Zoom. I don't know, or by public hearing by Zoom or something this year. I'm not sure. I haven't heard, but the actual sites have not been determined. I had a couple of things I want to advise you about, and I might be able to send everybody an email with some links if you'd like to get it. But have you heard of the You Can Vote people? Anybody heard of the You Can Vote people?
No.
They do great work. They are completely nonpartisan, and they have some training videos online. They're YouTube videos, Marva. Have you looked at at their videos? Marva, have you looked at those You Can Vote videos? Okay, you have. Okay. But they have, how to approach folks unsure about felony convictions if a person's in a hurry. So they do these little 2 or 3 minute YouTube sessions that kind of give you an example of how to do these things. So if you like, I can send everybody a link to those, but you can actually find it yourself if you just Google You Can Vote. This is another little blurb from the You Can Vote people, and it is a little document that is locked up in North Carolina, Know Your Voting Rights. So they are very much advocates for people voting. Finally, what I'd like to email everybody is another little bit of a tip sheet. It's kind of a quick and dirty of what that guide is about talking points and a few odds and ends that if you don't want to carry around a 7-page piece of paper with you or booklet, you can. This is all. It's just in one little page. So I think that is about everything that I know, unless anybody has a question. Well, Marva, I appreciate your hosting this, and I certainly wish everybody well and stay safe. It's very difficult to figure out how to do these activities with the restrictions that we all are under, not only by rules, but by our own good sense. So, but hopefully you'll be able to figure out some ways to help people to do this. So that's the whole thing, unless anybody has a question.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Good luck on it.
yeah, Howard, Howard, if you just keep them up to date, maybe if they sign on to the Forsyth Democratic newsletter, that'll keep them up to date of what we might be doing, so that they can join in on the Democratic Zoom. There is a lot of information in the newsletter that'll sort of guide them, direct them, because I know if they're volunteering, we need their help. So they need,
Right.
so it updates them when we're getting ready to have a joint voter registration event somewhere, or whatever is going on when it comes to voter registration. We really, really need you, and thank you so much for coming on tonight. Yeah.
Thanks for doing it.
Well, Marva, it looks like this is being recorded, so I guess folks
Yes.
could see if they want to see anything.
Yeah, they can see the whole.
Listen to the whole.
Yeah, they can see everything. When you trying to get on, everybody trying to get on, they can see it all.
The
glitches, yeah.
Well, I apologize for it being such a hassle to do that. So,
okay.
But thanks everybody for participating. Thank you, Marva, for. Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Nice meeting everybody. Nice meeting you.
Nice
Bye-bye.
meeting you all. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Marva, see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks too. Thanks to you too. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.